Hey, everybody. Happy June and welcome to another episode of Your Own Pathway, Leadership and Mental Wellbeing in the Workplace. For those who don't know, my name is Paya. I'm a trained psychotherapist turned life empowerment coach and organizational leadership consultant, where I bring my experience, knowledge, and skills to empower all of you to forge your own path and to own it. Regardless if you are a company, organization, leadership, or an individual who is ready to rebuild foundations that work for you. So, as you all can see, today's episode is all about paying your dues and why we continue to think that we need to pay our dues and what are the outcomes of paying your dues. So it is summer. I know that a lot of people are graduating. I know that a lot of graduates are graduating, looking for jobs, and some of you probably found your job already. And so you're excited, you are ready for the next chapter, the next book of your life, and then you go to your new job and you realize, my God, this is nothing what I anticipated. And so, as someone who graduated in, oh my goodness, 2008, holy shit. So, yeah, it's been 2000, since 2008 that I graduated with my graduate degree. However, being a therapist, going through the motions of becoming a therapist, I would say that was probably the hardest part of my life in paying my dues. So today's episode is it really necessary to pay your dues for success and why we need to stop with the idea of paying your dues because it's a continuation of trauma. And so let's go right into the episode today. Paying your dues has a lot of things, and a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of people still believe that in order for you to be successful, you have to pay your dues. And it's often, again, um, framed as a noble rite of passage. But for many, especially new professionals, marginalized professionals, people who are first time professionals, it's often traumatic and deeply unhealthy. And many professionals still believe that suffering through tough early career stages is necessary. However, this acceptance of paying your dues is part of that systematic trauma. The systematic trauma that continues with the belief that, hey, everybody has to pay their dues, everybody has to do something, go through something in order to build character, to build skills. And today I'm going to say, nope, we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to. We are healing from all this workplace trauma. And so today's video is intended to talk more about the widespread negative effects of paying your dues and how we need to really focus on employee well-being and changing the narrative so that we can heal from all of this. So think about the worst job you've ever had. And this could be professionally or it could be, as a teenager. But for today's episode, let's talk about professional. Let's talk about the professional trauma that we have to endure, or we're told that we have to endure in order to belong. In my own personal experience, I would say from 2017 to 2020, that were the hardest years of my professional life because I had to pay my fucking dues. I had to pay my damn dues in order to become a therapist because I have about 4,000 hours of 4,000 hours of supervised hours. You have to have a supervisor to become a therapist. You have to go through all of this. And honestly, it was the hardest part of my life. And so the hours were long. Sometimes you do a thankless job, you do thankless tasks. Maybe you had a boss who enjoyed terrorizing you or your discomfort. Now, what if I told you that the quiet acceptance of this suffering, this whole idea of paying your dues, isn't just about your personal struggle, but it is a key, again, systematic crisis and trauma. And unfortunately, it's a crisis that's costing businesses billions, that's right, I said billions, and individuals their well-being. And so in today's episode, I'm going to discuss why companies and some professions continue with this systematic trauma of believing that you have to pay your dues. When I think of systematic trauma, paying your dues, I think of all the hospital jobs and professions that I've talked to, that I've had, that were often my clients and my own personal experience becoming a therapist. And so there are 5 steps or 5 points that I wanted to make today about why we continue to have this idea that you need to pay your dues and how it takes advantage of people. So, moving on. Okay, so moving on why we need to stop the idea and the cycle of trauma of paying your dues. Number one, it normalizes exploitation. Yes. So by exploitation, what it means that it means you're expected to work long hours with little support. It often means that you accept underpayment or no payment at all. I know that as therapists, a lot of us got paid so little to get our clinical hours. When I decided that I wanted to become a therapist, my first job in 2008 paid more than me being a clinical trainee. And that hurt. After being 10 years in the field, it was really hard. It was really hard for me to accept that, oh my God, I'm working harder than ever before and I'm getting paid so little. And I had to console myself, okay, but I'm getting my hours. I'm getting my clinical hours. I'm getting my clinical hours. And unfortunately, there were a lot of systematic problems and issues that eventually led me to being fired from my job. However, that is a story for another day. And so I accepted underpayment or hardly any payment. I know that as oh my gosh, what is it called again? As interns, yeah. As interns, we did not get paid and we were expected to work 30 hours. And when I hear about how other professions get paid as interns, I'm so envious. And so we are often exploited. Another thing about it going under it, normalizing the exploitation, is that we're expected to say yes. We're expected to yes to everything, no matter how unreasonable the expectation is. It, again, it brings me back a lot of my internship too, and being a clinical trainee, how you did not get to say no. And if you said no, it's like, how dare you? Um, and again, it's masked and it's exploitation marked as ambition. When you don't align to the exploitation, your company, your boss, whoever is saying, hey, you're not ambitious enough. Other people will be lucky to be where you are, and we chose you. And so there's that guilt, there's a manipulation of trying to say, hey, you're lucky we chose you. So this is burnt out, which is framed as you're not committed. If you're not burnt out, you're not committed. So that's number one. It normalizes the exploitation. Number two is that it dismisses, of course, mental health and emotional well being. How many of us who have been taken advantage of and continuing this cycle of paying your dues, how often have we all heard this? That's just how it is. Or suck it up. We all did it. You know what? If you don't like it, somebody else will gladly take your spot. So, what this means is that your needs are often invalidated. And when you call out or when you try to even discuss, you know what, I'm feeling burnt out. I'm not doing well. My workload is too much. It's like, no, you're just not in it. If you really want this, you'll find a way. You will take this on. You will take everything that we throw at you. And if you don't accept this, it means that there's something wrong with you. The gaslighting, the dismissal, the belittling, all of that will usually occur if you, again, discuss how the workload or whatever system it is impacting your mental, emotional, and eventually your physical health. And so, again, your needs are invalidated and overworking becomes the toxic norm. How are you all feeling so far? Is this bringing a lot of memories? Is this triggering all of you? I know that going through this triggers a lot of memories, again, for me as a clinical trainee, because everything that I discussed so far, I went through. So that's number two. Number three is that it silences the boundaries. So when you try to have boundaries, what this indicates to the person, your boss, the organization, the profession that you're trying to get into is saying no. You saying no, you're being labeled as ungrateful, you're not a team player, or you know what? You're not hungry enough. You're not hungry enough for success. And so, what this means is that your self advocacy gets punished, not praised. So, number three is silences your boundaries. Number four, it rewards conformity over authenticity. So, what does this mean? It means that you are expected to shrink, you are expected to make yourself small, you are expected to be a shapeshifter, or you're expected to silence yourself in order to fit in. Remember at the beginning when I said, paying your dues is often hard for people who are in marginalized communities. And when you are in a marginalized community, you're the first one in your family, you're the first generation, you're trying to figure out what it is, you're trying to figure out the job, and you notice that the job that you're trying to get into, the profession, doesn't allow you to be yourself, not to be authentic. And so you have to do a lot of code switching. And so it's hard for you to fit in. And this often leads to, besides code switching, people pleasing, and hiding your cultural identity. I think anybody who's watching this, who's listening to this, who is part of that marginalized community, when I said that code switching, people pleasing, and hiding cultural identity, all of us have gone through that. All of us have gone through that. We all have our 9 to 5 identities, and then after that five, or on the weekend, we finally get to be ourselves. I know that I had to do a lot of that for the first probably goodness, for the first probably 13 years of my career. And if I even had coworkers say that to me too. They're like, we notice this about you. We notice that, after certain hours, you don't like to do things with us. It's like, no, I have my boundaries because I have been code switching, or I have been in this identity of my professionalism, meaning that I can't be myself. So it's exhausting. And so after certain hours, I have to be myself, or I get to be on the weekend, I have to be myself. And so it's exhausting. Like I said, it's exhausting. And so you're not able to be authentic. This also means that you as a person, you have to avoid any sign of weakness. Because as the first person or someone from a marginalized community, if you're the only person, you have to be better than everybody else. You have to perform better than everybody else. You have to be on it. And you can't show any sign of weakness, because if you do, it shows that you don't belong. And so what this means is that you learn to perform, not to belong. So that's number four. It rewards conformity over being authentic. Number five, it reinforces harmful power dynamics. And I'm sure this does not come to surprise for most of you. What happens is that in this power, it often means that there's a repeat of the same harm that once was experienced. The person, the boss, the mentor, They went through that and now they feel that they have to continue on the harm that they experience. What also happens is people believe that suffering is a test of worth, and that if you withhold or withheld any type of guidance, mentor, or kindness, it believes that if you don't have that, you have to earn that. You have to earn that, okay? You have to earn guidance. You have to earn kindness. You have to earn this. And so there's a power dynamic there. If that person never likes you, you're fucking screwed. And so trauma gets recycled instead of healed. So those are the 5 points. How are you all doing so far? I know that this probably again brings back a lot of memories or triggers for people who went through that. And my mission and my intention is to really, really, really hope that we can stop the continuation of this trauma. When I think of this, I think of it as, do you want your children to go through the trauma that you went through too, just because you went through trauma and you became resilient, you had to grow up faster, whatever it is that forced you to learn? Do you want your children to go through that too? If you say yes, I would question, and I would say I hope that you go work on yourself, your wounds, your unhealed trauma. If you said no, I don't want my children to go through that. It's like, yeah, why would you want anybody to go through this too? And so in the professional level, why would you want people to go through this too? Now, I don't mean that to say that you can't challenge the people who are new, who are learning. I'm not saying you can't challenge them. However, you don't have to pass on all the harm that you went through so that the people under you can learn. So why is this so unhealthy? I mean, I just talked about 5 points here. I don't know if it's not healthy, here are other things to convince you why paying your dues is not healthy. Because again, it conditions people to tolerate disrespect. It teaches people to abandon themselves to belong. It teaches that success only comes through suffering. And again, paying your dues is all about unpaid trauma. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that if you're going to go to trauma that you should be paid. I mean, but if I had to go to trauma, I would rather be paid than be unpaid. So, what do we have to do? What must we do in order to break the cycle? And so, breaking this cycle means that we need a major shift in how we think, how we do things, and we need to step away from glorifying the endurance of pain and towards championing sustainable performance, have real mentorship, and most importantly, have psychological safety. Organizations and leadership need to step up and take responsibility for creating cultures where there is growth, where there is nurturing, where employees are not emotionally beaten up, sometimes physically too. But this also means that we need a clear path. Like if you're an organization or leadership, you need a clear path for advancement that is based on skills, contribution, and not on some random ass measure of suffering. I said it, random ass. So it also means offering solid support to include mental health support. It also means promoting healthy work life boundaries. And especially if you're in leadership, you need to model what it means to have healthy work life boundaries. And especially, we need to train leadership to spot and stop trauma inducing practices. If we want to be the change, we have to be the change. If we want change, we have to model the change. And so, what else can we do? Here's some other healthier alternatives that we can start practicing and start embracing. Again, let's talk about mentorship, not martyring yourself. We need to start stretching, not stressing. We need to have boundaries. It's all about boundaries and not the burnout. And we need to have respect, not rites of passage through pain. I know all of this, again, can be very painful for people to hear, or if you endured through this, I'm sorry that you went through this. I hope that if you are a mentor now, or if you're in leadership, that you make the changes and you become the mentor, the boss, the leader that you should have had. And so that you can teach the younger people, or you can teach the new professionals on how to do things through, again, nurturing, through respect, through having boundaries, and instead of continue on the pain. So that is all for my episode today. And if you are someone who's experienced paying your dues, how did it impact you? And how did you get through it? What did you do? Share your story, share your thoughts in the comments below. And I hope that in order in order for us to change all of this, the only way is for us to openly discuss all of this so that we can start to change and challenge the narrative. And if this message hits home, please share this video, and spreading the word is the first step towards creating a healthier workplace for anyone. So thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. I know it was a hard one. And if you're new to my channel and enjoy this episode, please hit the like and subscribe button. But otherwise, I will see you all next time. Take care, everybody, and have a great week.